Now this is like 3 or 4 minutes after I said the live was going to start, but I couldn't get a proper stand for my phone. I'm going to wait a minute or so for people to join. I only made the announcement that I'm going to make a live about 30 minutes ago, so I don't think a lot of people saw it, because I just decided I'm going to make a live. God, I'm pale. Goodness. Practically transparent. Okay, just waiting a minute for people to join. I don't know yet if I'm going to put this on my feed. I'm going to watch it back later and then decide. Obviously, cooking is not my normal content. I focus on the animal rights part of veganism. But, like, if you saw the announcement, you know that this live is about pesto making. Pesto, I used to be the pesto queen. About 3 years ago, I made a lot of different kinds of pestos. It all started when I saw... Okay, I'm going to go on with the explanation. Let me see if people have joined. I'm just going to continue now. So, as I was saying, it all started when I saw sun-dried tomato pesto in a store. And I do not like, I hate sun-dried tomatoes, but I love fresh tomatoes. So I was like, maybe I can try making fresh tomato pesto at home. So tonight, I'm going to be making the tomato pesto that started it all. So I have tomatoes, 2 tomatoes here. I think I might need more. We'll see as we're making it. I'm just winging it. Some ground paprika, salt and pepper, oil, and additional yeast. Yeah. I think most of you will probably know what pesto is, but let me just give a quick crash course. Pesto is an Italian sauce that's made by like the base of what kind of pesto it is, and oil, and like normally it has Parmesan cheese in, but vegan pestos has nutritional yeast in, as I showed you. The traditional pesto and the most well-known pesto is basil pesto, which is one of my favorite pestos. You can make all kinds of pestos. I've made tomato pesto, beetroot pesto, stinging nettle pesto, believe it or not. You just have to harvest the nettles while you're wearing gloves. Then you have to soak it in baking soda water to like deactivate the sting for about half an hour. And I've made, let me try and think what I've made. I've made it from carrot tops once. Pumpkin pesto, which is one of my favorite pestos, and purple cabbage pesto. I know the official name is red cabbage, but I refuse to call it red cabbage. I call it purple cabbage because it's very clearly purple. Purple cabbage pesto is beautiful. I've only made it once, but it came out like this lilac, lavender-like color. I did not think it would become that color. I thought it would just be the same color as like raw cabbage. But I mean, there's some white on the purple cabbage as well, so that makes sense. And I haven't made pesto in about 3 years. A little less than 3 years. I think I tried making pumpkin pesto once since the incident that made me stop making pestos, and then I was like, no, I can't do it. If you saw my story announcement, you saw I said that someone ruined pesto making for me. And now you might be thinking, how can somebody ruin pesto, something as stupid as pesto making for you? How can pesto making cause trauma? So, okay, let me start making the pesto. Let me get an onion as well. Let me see if I still have chopped onion in my fridge. No, let me just get a raw onion. You guys will have to excuse the tears. Okay, so I'll do a bit of storytelling as I'm making the pesto. Let me just get this compost bin to put the onion leaves in. guess we'll have to excuse the tears as I chop this onion. Let me just get a container to the billet that I'm making. Okay. So depending on how long you've been following me, and if you know me in person, you most likely know I used to be a long-term volunteer at a farm animal sanctuary. Farm animals are my life. Pigs, sheep, chickens, cows, goats. I will do anything for them. That's why I'm an animal rights activist. So, here it is. I was a long-term volunteer at a farm animal sanctuary for 2 years. Just a little less than 2 years. And the reason I'm now rambling now, but the reason I said farm animals in air quotes is they're only called farm animals because those are the two species of animals that are traditionally farmed. They're the most oppressed beings on this earth. But they shouldn't really be called farm animals because they're not a meal. They're sentient beings. Anyway, so the pesto making saga of me started while I was at the sanctuary. Started off, like I said, with a fresh tomato pesto. Then I was making pumpkin pesto. Side note, since you also put nutritional yeast in vegan pesto, the pumpkin pesto was completely unintentional. Like, I accidentally discovered this. God, it's so liberating to talk so passionately about pesto after all these years. But anyway, you can double it as a vegan mac and cheese base because it tastes just like mac and cheese. So, like, you can blend pumpkin and additionally use oil for pumpkin pesto or for a vegan mac and cheese sauce, depending on what you're in the mood for. It doubles. Okay, so back to the pestos I was making while I was at the sanctuary. Where is the lid? Okay, so like, obviously, like I said, while I was at the sanctuary, excuse the chopping sound, I made tomato pesto, nettle pesto, carrot top pesto, beetroot pesto. The last pesto I made before everything went to shit was the purple cabbage pesto. So as you can hear, it's all different kinds of colors. It's like very colorful, and like every pesto, like the colors like I mentioned now is red, green, purple, pink. And the fellow volunteers really loved like the different colors. They found it very exciting. Like, my intention wasn't to get so into pesto. I was just casually experimenting, but they were like, Zoe, we really enjoy all these colors. It's so fun. Which pesto you're gonna make next? And they were like, I never thought to make it, but they were like requesting blue pesto, and I was like, there's not a lot of blue foods. And I googled it. I googled blue foods, and I think the only one that comes to mind right now is blue corn, like blue corn on a cob, which I've never seen in South Africa. Maybe it is here somewhere, I don't know. And I don't think corn pesto would be very good. Maybe once this this live is done, I can Google blue foods again. Anyway, like I said, everyone enjoyed my pestos except the co-owner. He was always complaining about my pestos. He was saying, like, because, like, I should note, I made, like, when I made the pesto, I poured it over pasta, because pesto is often, being an Italian sauce, it's often eaten with pasta. So I would, like, make this big pot of pasta and then pour the pesto and stir it. And he was like, yeah, it's not a big enough variety of food, it's so boring. It's like this uniform, like only pasta with pesto. But I didn't pay any attention to him. I wasn't a paid chef there, so I was like, if you don't like my food, that's your problem. Oh, excuse me. We just get a pan to fry these onions. if my eyes aren't tearing up as much, but my nose is a bit low. Okay, so I'm just putting the chopped onions in a pan, just roasting it. Frying it, I mean, sorry. Before I eventually pour it in the blender. And now I'm going to start chopping the tomatoes. I only have 2 tomatoes here, 2 big tomatoes, but I think I might need more. And like, I mean, he's always criticized my food even before the pesto thing, but I was like, if you don't like my food, that's your problem, not mine. But like, it really started to escalate when I started making these pestos. And another thing, he hated it. If I called anything that wasn't made from basil pesto, he was like, it's only pesto if it's made from basil. Which is not true. The sun-dried tomato pesto I saw in the store is proof of this. I probably shouldn't be waving this around, but I get so passionate about the story. Anyway, yeah, I just completely ignored him, like I said. He didn't like that I ignored him, that I didn't take his constructive criticism into account. It wasn't constructive criticism, he was just being plain rude. And then, like, 2 days before I left the sanctuary for good, I made the purple cabbage pesto. It was really good and really beautiful. Like I said, it came out this lavender-like color, which I did not expect. That was just a fun little detail. And he didn't come to my supper. I just realized I didn't keep this detail. Every volunteer and staff member got like a turn once a week to make supper, and this, like the last 2.5 months I was there, I was making a different kind of pesto pasta every week. So that detail is important for the story. Anyway, I just quickly check who's in the live. Sorry, I'm interrupting myself a lot now. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the purple cabbage pesto. So for the past like 2.5 months, he's been complaining about my pestos every week, and I completely ignored him. I didn't even, like I said, didn't say anything about his comments. Like, I just acted as if he didn't make them, and he didn't like that. I think he wanted me to react, and that's why, one of the reasons, like, he started to escalate. So he didn't come to the supper where I made the purple cabbage pesto pasta. And then the next night we were at table, someone else, I can't remember who, but someone else made supper. And the topic of my previous night's pesto came up. And that's when the other volunteers were saying, like, yes, that was such a beautiful colored pesto. You need to make blue pesto next. And I was like, I don't know any blue foods other than blue corn, which I've never seen, and corn would, I don't think corn would make a good pesto. And then I didn't like, we were talking about my pestos that he didn't like, and he made a sarcastic comment, sounds like I dodged a bullet last night, and me and all other volunteers ignored him. And he did not like when we ignored his sweet comments. And then, like, I saw him being on his phone, but like I didn't engage it. And then suddenly he shoved his phone in my face, like, with a really smug smile on his face, and he was like, look, and he showed me a chart of like what a balanced plant-based bowl should look like. It should have like all these different food groups. Then I was like, I got very annoyed. Like I said, up until then, I was ignoring him. So this was the first time I was actually like reacting to his criticism. And I was like, what is this? And he was like, this is what a balanced plant-based bowl should look like. Your suppers do not look like this. And then I pointed out that, I completely forgot I was making, didn't burn or anything, but I completely forgot that I was making onion. Let me throw this away. Look at a little bird. Just goes to show you how forgetful you can get when you're narrating while cooking. I'll have to. Let me just open this. This does not make me look good. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the chart you showed me. And then I pointed out that not only me, some of the other volunteers make basil pesto all the time and mix it in with pasta. And he has never made a complaint about that. So I asked him, why is basil pesto okay, but other types of pestos aren't? He didn't have an answer for me. He was like, I need to think about this. And he sat there and thought for like 30 seconds and he couldn't come up with an answer for me. And he was like, he didn't have an answer for me. And he was like, okay, but how can you possibly think cabbage makes a good pesto? And again, he wasn't even part of that supper. So how does his opinion matter? Then I was like, what's wrong with cabbage pesto? And then it was like, it made people sick, which is not true. I don't know how it got. So now he was actually accusing me of being people sick. He was like really going too far now. So I said, if you have such a problem with my suppers, why do you come to them? And again, up until this night, I haven't reacted to his criticism at all. So this was like a very out of character thing for me. To like actually ask, why do you make this criticism? Why do you even come to my suppers if you don't like my food? And then he said, okay, but I don't. I've stopped coming to your suppers. That's why I didn't come last night, because I knew you would ruin supper again. Yes, that's what he said. And then he said, if we ate the way you cook at every meal, we would all die of nutrient deficiency. So I got up and I left the room. And we just stir the onions. Oh, that was the last straw for me. Implying that my cooking is so bad and it would literally kill people. Cooking it only he's complained about. I just said, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional. The sanctuary was really important for me. It was my whole life for 2 years. So I left the farm like less than 48 hours after that. Having to leave my animal friends behind because the humans made the atmosphere so unbearable is still so unfair to me almost 3 years later. Sorry, I got a bit distracted with the onions and I'm stirring now. And then maybe, I don't know how he reacted when I left the room. And I should mention all the other volunteers. Everybody was there. He said these things to me in front of everybody. Then maybe he didn't like that I left the room and didn't give him a chance to insult me further. So he sent a message on the sanctuary WhatsApp groups. Like they basically copied and pasted the definition of pesto onto the WhatsApp group, which explained basil pesto, which, like I said, is the traditional original pesto. And he was like, it's not pesto if it's not made from basil, and pesto is supposed to be nutritious. At first I was just going to ignore the message, that if he really had to send it, he could have sent me a private message, but he sent it on the WhatsApp group because he wanted to humiliate me, just like he wanted to humiliate me by saying all these things in front of other volunteers. But anyway, so at first I was going to ignore the message, but then I thought, wait a minute, he's not the only one that can use the internet at his disposal. I could do it too. So I found an article that showed different kinds of pestos you can make, copied the link and pasted it into the WhatsApp group and said, see, basil pesto may be the traditional pesto, but you can make pestos of all kinds of things, like I've been doing the past 2 months. It doesn't have to be made from basil. It doesn't even need to be green. Stirring the onions again. I'm just reiterating, this live was almost completely impromptu. Like, I knew I was gonna reclaim pesto tonight, but I only decided like less than an hour before I started I was gonna make an Insta live about it. I'll just open another window because obviously a little bit of smoke is coming from the pan. And then, as if nothing happened, he said, "Thank you for this article. What pesto can we look forward to next week?" As if he hasn't been harassing me every week for 2 months. I did respond to that, and I left the farm less than 48 hours after. It's so fucking stupid that that I had to leave the farm and he made such a big deal about pasta sauce. I wasn't the paid chef. I was a volunteer. I was there for the animals. If I was the paid chef, it would have been a different story if he was criticizing my food and like saying you need to use a bigger variety of ingredients. But I wasn't the chef, so I didn't pay any attention to his criticism. I'm again noticing how pale I am, and I need to stop interrupting myself. Anyway, yeah, that's the story. Now pesto making was ruined for me. But now, like I said, I tried making pumpkin pesto like about a month after I left the farm, and I was like, no, I'm not ready to make pesto. And this was like almost 3 years ago, and now I'm making pesto again. I don't know yet if I'm gonna really get into it again. It was really cathartic to like get that story out there while making this pesto. Like I said, that such a big deal was made about pesto. It's absolutely ridiculous. But now, all the ingredients are ready. The chopped tomato, the chopped onion. Now I'm going to start putting it in the blender. I don't know yet, like I said at the beginning of this live, I don't know yet if I'm going to put this on my feed. Here's the chopped tomato. I don't know if this is enough tomato, if the pesto is going to be thick enough. Like I said, I haven't made pesto in a long time. That includes tomato pesto, so I don't know if this is enough pesto, and I'm trying really hard not to spill it while I throw it in the blender. Sorry, I had a message come through. Sorry, I'm just checking again who's currently in the live. Okay, now for the oil. Okay, so traditionally olive oil is used in making pesto, but olive oil is so expensive. So add soybean oil and sunflower oil works just as well. And don't come at me with this seed oil's a bad for you thing. I'm vegan for the animals, not my health. Bit of nooch. I hope that's enough nooch. Although, is there such a thing as enough nooch? Maybe just put this back in the cupboard. Bit of paprika. This is another thing I made pesto with red pepper. I was just thinking about it because paprika is my favorite pepper. while I was at the farm, I was thinking of making one of yellow peppers, so it's a yellow pesto, but I never got around to it. Maybe I will make yellow pepper pesto somewhere in the future. Salt, pepper. I need to be really careful with this pepper shaker because the lid is very fragile. It tends to break off and then the pepper forms get everywhere. Took the lid off and now I can't find it. Trigger warning, this is gonna make a noise, obviously, it's a blender. Let me just secure this. Okay, it's plugged in properly. Let's start with a low speed. Why is it not going on? See if I can figure out if it's blended enough. Maybe one more time. I'll show you the end result in a moment. Yeah, that'll do. Let me show you the end result. I completely forgot tomato pesto is not red. It comes out orange because it's blended with the oil and like there's like white pieces inside of the tomato. Okay, let me just put this back. Okay, now I just need to boil the pasta, which I'm not going to bore you guys with. Pasta boiling is not a very interesting thing, so I'm going to end the live here. Thank you guys for listening. Can't wait to eat this again. I haven't even eaten like store-bought or restaurant pesto in 3 years. Like one time, a few months after the sanctuary, I left the sanctuary, I saw pea pesto on a restaurant menu and it was so tempting to take a picture and send it to the guy. But I didn't because that would mean like contacting someone I cut out of my life again. And unlike him, I prioritize peace over being right. So anyway, that's all in the past. I reclaimed pesto, which I'm so happy about. I'm gonna make the pasta now and I'm gonna say goodbye here. I'll watch the as the pasta's cooking, I'll watch the live back. I won't be able to finish it because it's like almost half an hour now and pasta only boils between 7 to 10 minutes. But like I'll watch the entire live like and then decide about putting it on my feed. Thank you guys. Bye.